Okay, and welcome back. So the problem is, what's the average rate of speed when you're given two different rates and a distance? So the question could be something like this. Let's say, for instance, there was a race and it was 2 miles long, and let's say you're jogging at a rate of, let's say you're going for 6 miles per hour, and you stop in the middle to get a quick drink, but it took too long, and now you have to catch up, so you went for the other mile 8 miles per hour, and this is 1 mile and this is 1 mile. So what is your average rate of speed? Well, first of all, this is one of those rate times time equal distance problems, and let's just go over that real quick. Rate, this is times time equal distance. So basically, if I'm traveling at 60 miles per hour for 1 hour, I multiply the two and I've gone for 60 miles. Simple, right? See, in this case here, we're actually traveling at 6 miles per hour for 1 mile, 8 miles per hour for the other mile, and in total we went a total of 2 miles. Now the average rate of speed is not 7, okay? So don't think you can add 6 plus 8, which gives you 14, then divide that by the two numbers you were given to give you 7. That's not correct. As a matter of fact, the only reason you would do something like that is when you're trying to find the average of two different numbers, meaning you want to find out the number in between those two numbers. That's kind of what the average basically means, like the most middle of the numbers. Meaning, if this was 6 right here, and this was 8 right here, the number in between these two would be 7. What you do is you add these two together, 6 plus 8, then divide it by the two numbers, and that gives you 7. That's 14 over 2. Okay, that's to find the midpoint, or the middle between two numbers. We're not doing that here. As a matter of fact, this particular problem, what you have to do is you have to take into consideration how much time it takes to go from point A to point B. Okay, so that's going to be a certain amount of time, and the complete distance you traveled is 2 miles, right? So to go from right here to right here is a total of 2 miles. Oops. So let's take a look at this rate times time equal distance. You want to find the average rate for this. So to find out the rate of that you're traveling at given time and distance, you can have rate times time equal distance. Then you can divide by t, and that gives you rate equaling distance over time. So that's what we need to do. We need to figure out the distance, which we have, which is equal to 2, and the time, which we don't know. So we're going to call it just t alone, okay? And that's the total time. So it took a certain amount of time to travel from here to here, and it took another amount of time to go from here to here. So we'll call this t1 for this time here, and this t2 for this time here. What we need to do is we need to add t1 plus t2 to equal the total time. Once we have the total time, we can put that into here, 2 over total time, and then that would give us our rate. So that's how to do the problem. Okay, so let's go ahead and work this out. First of all, we need to do each side independently. Okay, using this formula here, rate times time equal distance, we can just say rate times t sub 1, which is our time, is equal to distance, and our rate times t sub 2, which is our second time, equal d. We do each one independently. So we do 6 for our rate, our time we don't know, and our distance is 1. The same thing over here. We traveled at a rate of 8 miles per hour for a certain amount of time, and we traveled 1 mile. So to isolate the t's, we could just divide by the rate, and we have t sub 1 is equal to 1/6 of an hour, and t sub 2 divided by 8 is equal to 1/8 of an hour. Now all we got to do is add these two together. You have 1/6 plus 1/8, and what we need is a common denominator, so we could use 24 for our common denominator. So let's go ahead and figure that out. To get 24 on the bottom here, rather, let's just do it like this. We want a 24 here and a 24 here. So I have to multiply the 1/6 top and bottom by 4 over 4, and that gives me 4 over 24, and the 1/8 can be 3 over 3. We multiply by 3 over 3, and that gives us 3/24, and if we add 4 and 3 together, we get 7, and the 24 is common on both, so we get 7 over 24. Great, so this is going to be our complete time by adding, you see this T1 plus T2, this is our T1 here. I'm sure you got this already, I'm just labeling these. And this is our T2. So our total time is going to be 7 over 24. So we'll go back to this rate equals d over t, which is equal to 2 over t. And what we're going to do is write this as r is equal to 2 over 7/24. Okay? And now what we do is we invert and multiply the 7/24. So 2 over 7/24 is equal to 2 over 1 times, invert and multiply the denominator, the fractional denominator, which will give you 24 over 7. So basically you're taking the reciprocal of 7/24 and writing it as 24 over 7. Multiply the 2 times 24, which gives you the 48. The 1 times the 7 gives you the 7. And if you do this on your calculator, 48 over 7 is actually equal to 6.857. So 6.857, which can be rounded to just 6.9. So your answer for average rate is 6.9 mph, miles per hour. And that's it. So just to recap, basically what you're doing is you need to figure out how much time it took to go the 2 miles, and then just divide 2 miles by the amount of time it took to go the entire 2 miles, and that's basically it. So you were given a couple numbers. You were given a rate 6 miles per hour for 1 mile, an average rate and a rate of 8 miles per hour for another mile. You needed to figure out what the times were for each one of those miles, add those two together, and just divide the complete 2 miles that you went by the amount of time it took to go the 2 miles. And you'll get this answer over here, 6.9 miles per hour. Okay. Let's say, for instance, you traveled an extra mile. So you went a total of 3 miles. Okay. And you were traveling at a rate of 10 miles per hour here. Same thing applies. You got to figure out what T3 is then. And then you would add T1 plus T2 plus T3. So that would be 3 over T1 plus T2 plus T3. Okay. And for some of you that enjoy algebra, you can go ahead and generalize this. You could just, call this like rate 1, R1, R2, R3. You get my drift. Just go ahead and generalize this formula in terms of variables, so that way you could just plug stuff into it. Anyway, okay, so like I said, I hope this is helpful, and good luck with your homework and tests in the future, and thank you for watching.